Welcome to Witness Wednesday here on the Walk Boldly with Jesus podcast. I am your host, Katherine Duggan. However, each Wednesday, I will have a guest give their witness of how God is working in their lives. Hearing how God is working in other people's lives shows us how deeply He cares for each one of us individually. Listening to these experiences will help your faith grow. I am so blessed to be able to share these with you. Let's get started. Today's witness is from Chicken Soup of the Soul, a Book of Miracles by Jack Canfield, Victor Hanson, and Leanne Thieman. The title of this story is Summoned to Pray. Matthew 11:28. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Honey, I'll leave as soon as duty is over. That should be right after midnight, my new husband promised. I hung up the phone, a newlywed anxiously anticipating our every other weekend reunion. At that moment, I questioned the sanity of our decision to spend our first year of marriage apart as I completed my teaching degree at UT Arlington and he completed his last year of service at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I straightened up our tiny one-bedroom apartment, then went to bed to await his arrival. In spite of my anxiety, I still managed to fall asleep, dreaming about our weekend together. Suddenly, I was awakened from my sound sleep with a summons to pray, as real as if it had just been delivered by a mailman. It was accompanied by an urgent knowledge of what to pray for, my husband's immediate safety. I thought back to another instance just the year before when I had felt an urgent need to pray for Jim in Vietnam. Later, I received a letter he wrote telling me about a late-night trip back from taking a shower when he nearly stepped on a bush viper. Miraculously, he had seen it just in time. He was not wearing his glasses at the time, and the only light was from a friend's tent where a prohibited candle burned. I wrote back telling him about my urgency to pray for him on that very same night. We both knew it was the Lord's doing. So now I fell out of bed on my knees. I cried as I prayed to the Lord. Then as quickly as the summons had come, it was gone. My tears dried and I fell back asleep, remarkably peaceful despite the traumatic awakening. The last thing I remembered was glancing at the clock on the nightstand. It was 2:50 a.m. There was a knock at the door. I sat up in bed and looked at the clock again. 6 a.m. I thought to myself, Jim must not have been able to leave when he originally planned. Then I remembered the urgent call to prayer. I rushed to the door, opened it, and there stood my young husband, a bit disheveled, his right eye covered with a black patch. He quickly answered my questions. A car going only 30 miles per hour, with no lights, pulled out of a bar onto the highway just outside Fort Worth. My husband was driving 70 miles an hour on the highway, and there was a collision. Our new car was totaled. The officer at the scene said the other man had been drinking. The only injury to Jim was broken glass in one eye. For some reason, I felt that I needed to buckle my seatbelt right before getting to Fort Worth, Jim said. He'd never done that before. Back then, in 1969, there were no seatbelt laws. Thank God, I gasped, hugged him tighter. What time did this happen? I'd just checked the time. It was 2:50. Sharon L. Patterson. I thought this was a really good Witness Wednesday for today because I know a lot of you get woken up in the middle of the night and you're not sure why and you're not sure what to do. So I just wanted to share this with you and to tell you if you do get woken up in the middle of the night, ask the Lord if there's something specific or someone specific He wants you to pray for. Your prayers could make all the difference in the world. And thank you to Sharon for sharing this story in the book so that we can all learn from it. We have all seen God working in our lives. However, we might not all be aware it is God who is working in our lives. This is why it's so important we start talking about it more. The more we share our experiences, the more people understand how God works and how much He truly loves us. If you would be willing to share any of your experiences of how God has worked in your life, please email me at Catherine@findingtruenorthcoaching.com. CATHERINE at findingtruenorthcoaching.com. Or you can click on the link below. It won't take up much of your time, and your story could be just the story someone needs to hear today. Please prayerfully consider sharing your story. Everyone has one, and the world needs to hear them. I look forward to spending time with you again tomorrow. Remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. I will have another witness for you next Wednesday. Have a blessed day.